This is Edexcel's GCSE Mathematics Practice Test Set 6, Paper 3H. Question 1. The two rectangles are 40 centimetres long, 2/5 of strip A is shaded in and 5/8 of strip B is shaded in. What fraction is not shaded? So, first of all, there are 3/5 of strip A that are not shaded. So 3/5 of 40, 40 divided by 5 is 8, and 3 lots of 8 is 24. Parts of that strip is not shaded in. There are 3/8 of the 40 centimetres of strip B not shaded in. So 40 divided by 8 is 5, times by 3 is 15. So there are 15 parts of strip B that have not been shaded in. Altogether, that is 39 parts of each strip. Now, strip A was 40 parts, strip B was 40 parts, so that is 39 out of 80 parts altogether that are not shaded in. Question 2. Make W the subject of the formula. Well, W is currently having 3 subtracted from it and then being divided by 2. So to undo that, we'll times both sides by 2. So we get 2p equals W minus 3. And then we'll add 3 to both sides and we get 2p plus 3 equals W. Question 3. A, B and C are 3 service stations on a motorway. A and B are 25 miles apart, B and C are 25 miles apart. I should drive at an average speed of 50 miles an hour from A to B and at 60 miles an hour from B to C. Work out the difference in time that it takes to get from A to B as to B to C. Give your answer in minutes. So that's really important. So we know that speed equals distance divided by time. So if we rearrange that, we can have speed times time equals distance. And to work out the time, we'll then do distance divided by speed to get the time. So from A to B, we have got the distance of 25 miles and a speed of 50 miles per hour, which is 0.5. And that's 0.5 hours or 30 minutes. From B to C, we've got 25 miles at 60 miles an hour. So if we cancel that down as a fraction, that would be 5/12. So 5/12 of 60, so to work out that in minutes, we would do 5/12 of 60, so 60 divided by 12 is 5, times by 5 is 25 minutes. So the difference in time is 5 minutes. Question 4. Solve the simultaneous equations 4x plus 3y equals minus 7, 3x minus 4y equals 26. Well, to solve simultaneous equations, we need both equations to have the same term in it. So I'm going to multiply the first one by 3 and the second one by 4 so that we have 12x's in each. So the first one will go to 12x plus 9y equals minus 21, and the second one will go to 12x minus 16y equals 104. Now we've got 12x in both, we want to subtract these from each other because the signs are the same. So 12x take away 12x will be no x's, that's the whole point of doing it. 9y take away minus 16y is like adding, so that will become 25y's. And minus 21 take away 104 would be minus 125. Minus 125 divided by 25 would be minus 5. So y is minus 5. Once we've got y is minus 5, we can then substitute that into any of them, but I'm going to put it into the first one. So 4x plus 3 lots of minus 5 would equal minus 7. So that's 4x minus 15 equals minus 7. To solve that, I want to add 15 to both sides. So we have 4x equals 8, and then x divided by 4, so x would be 2. Question 5. Torbay invested £4,500 for 2 years in a savings account, which paid 4% per annum compound interest. Per annum means per year, and compound interest means you're going to get interest on your interest. So to do that, we're going to do 4,500 multiplied by, and 4% is 0.04 as a decimal. So to increase, we'll do 1.04 to increase by 4%. And to do that for 2 years, we would square that with times by 1.04 again. And that will give us £4,867.20. Jaspia invested £2,400 for n years in his savings account and was paid 7.5% per annum interest. At the end of n years, he had £3,445.51. Work out the value of n. Well, if we knew what n was, we would do 2,400 times by 1.075 to the power of n, and that would give us 3445.51. To do this, we just need to put in different values of n and find out what the answers are. So if I put n equals 1 into this, that would give us 2,580. That's obviously quite a long way off, so I'm going to jump up a little bit. I'm going to go to n equals 3. If I do put n equals 3 into that, I get £2,981.51. Again, it's still quite a way off, so I'm going to jump again. So I'm going to put n equals 5 into that, and I get 3,445.51. So the answer is after 5 years. Question 6. Here's a shape. BPC is a semicircle, BAC is a right angle triangle. Work out the perimeter of the shape. Well, first of all, we'll work out BPC. So BPC is half of the circumference of a circle. To find the circumference of a circle, you do pi times the diameter. So in this case, pi times 8. And that will give us 12 point whatever. We'll leave that in our calculator for later. And I'm going to work out AC. It's a right angle triangle, so we can use Pythagoras' theorem. So Pythagoras' theorem says that 8 squared take away 5 squared would give us AC when we square root it. So work that out, we get the square root of 39, which is 6 point whatever. If we add those two together, along with AB, we're told that AB is equal to 5, that's on the diagram, and if we add that on together, we get 23.8 centimetres to 3 significant figures. Question 7. The diagram shows a trapezium and all measurements are in centimetres. The area of trapezium is 119 centimetres squared, so that 2x squared minus x minus 120 equals 0. Well, first of all, the area of trapezium, we add A and B together, the base and the top, and we divide that by 2 to find the average of the two and multiply by the distance between them. So in this case, we will do x plus 6 plus 3x minus 1 and divide that by 2 and times that by the distance between them, x minus 1. And that will give us an answer of 119. If we simplify this over here, we'll end up with 4x plus 2 over 2, and that would be multiplied by x minus 1 to give us 119. And to simplify that further, we can divide by 2, we get 2x plus 1 multiplied by x minus 1 will give us 119. Now if we expand those brackets out, we'll end up with, I'll just go down here a little bit, we end up with 2x squared minus 2x plus x minus 1 equals 119. And if you put the x's together, that's just minus 1 x's, and take the 119 over to the other side, we end up with 2x squared minus x minus 120 equals 0, like it asked for. Question 2, find the value of x, show you're working clearly. Well, in this case, it actually can be factorised, but I know a lot of people struggle with factorising, so I would always recommend on a calculator paper that we use the formula. So the formula in this case is minus b, so b is minus 1, so it would be minus 1, plus or minus the square root of minus 1 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is minus 120, all divided by 2a, so 2 times 2. If we simplify that through, that will give us a plus 1 at the front, plus or minus, and the square root of it, if you put all that into your calculator, you'll get 961, all over 4, and that will go to 1 plus or minus, and the square root of 961 is actually 31, that's how I know it would have factorised, divided by 4. If you add 31 and 1 together, you get 32, divided by 4 is 8, and if you do 1 take 31, you get minus 30, divided by 4 with minus 7.5, and obviously a distance cannot be minus 7.5, so the answer is 8. Question 8, here's a number line, write down the inequalities shown on the number line. Well, the dot is coloured in, so x is going to be greater than or equal to, because it's pointing up the number line, minus 1. Write down all the positive integer values for p. So, sorry, not positive integer values, just the integer values for p. So it goes from minus 5 to minus 2, but it cannot be equal to minus 5. So it'll be minus 4, minus 3, and minus 2. Question C, solve 5y minus 2 is less than 18. We'll just solve that in a normal way. So we just add 2 to both sides. We get 5y is less than 20. And then divide by 5, we get y is less than 4. Question 9. There are 9 counters in a bag. There is a number on each of the counters. Cal is going to take out one counter at random, and it adds together the 3 numbers on the 3 counters to get his total. Work out the probability that his total is exactly 6. So, to get exactly 6, we could get 2, 2 and 2. So the probability of getting a 2, a 2 and a 2 would be 3 nines, because it's 3 out of 9 counters the first 2, would then be 2 out of 8 and the second time you pull out a 2, and then there would be 1 out of 7 the third time you pull out a 2. So if you multiply all those together, you get 6 out of 504. We could also get probability of a 3, if we get a 3 first, and then a 2 and then a 1. So probability of a 3 first would be 4 nines. Probability of a 2 second would be, there'd be 3 2s out of 8 counters in the bag now. And then probability of getting a 1 next would be 2 1s out of 7 left in the bag. And that would give us 24 out of 504. Now, there's lots of different combinations of getting a 3, a 2 and a 1. So we could have a 3, 2 and a 1, or we could have a 3, a 1 and a 2. We could have a 1, a 3 and a 2. We could have a 2, a 3 and a 1. We could have a 1, a 2 and a 3. Or we could have a 2, a 1 and a 3. So altogether you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ways of doing this. And if you look at the fractions that you're going to put in for each of those, you're going to end up with the same fractions as we've already done in this one. So actually what we can do is to work out this total probability, is we need to add up probability of getting a 2, a 2 and a 2, which is 6 over 504, and we need to add to that the 6 different ways of getting a 3, a 2 and a 1, each with a probability of 25 over 504. Now you can obviously work those out individually if you want to, this is just a bit of a shortcut. And if we add those up, that would get me to 150 out of 504. And if we simplify that down as you always should, that'd be 25 out of 84. Question 10. The highest common factor of 140 and x is 20, and the lowest common multiple of 140 and x is 420. Work out the value of x. Well, for this, I'm going to do the prime factor decomposition and put it into a Venn diagram to see exactly what's missing. So 140 can be split up into 2 and 70, then split that up into 2 and 35, and then that can be split up into 5 and 7. So 140 is 2 times 2 times 5 times 7. If we put that into a Venn diagram, this representing 140, this representing x, well it says the highest common factor, so the numbers in the middle, is 20. So the numbers in the middle have to be in the number 140 and have to multiply together to give 20. So that'll be the 2 times the 2 times the 5. So the 2, the 2 and the 5 must go in the middle. That leaves the 7 left over here. And it also says the lowest common multiple is 420. Now that's all the numbers multiplied together in the entire Venn diagram. So 2 times 2 times 5 times 7 is 140. And we need to multiply that by 3 to get 420. So all those numbers together would multiply up to 420. That means that x is just these numbers in here. So 2 times 2 times 5 times 3. And that would give us 60 as our value for x. Question 11. A number is decreased by 15% and the result is 323. What was the original number? Well, if I knew what the original number was, I would multiply that by 0.85 to get my answer 323. The reason why it's 0.85 is because that's 100 decreased by 15%. Take 15% off 100, we get 85%, which is 0.85 as a decimal. So to work out our value for x, we'll do 323 divided by 0.85, and that would give us 380. Question 12. Each student in a group of 32 students was asked the following question. Do you have a desktop computer, a laptop or a tablet? And the answers are as shown. The first 3 statements here is just the totals for each of the circles. So we know that the desktop computer circle must have 19 in it altogether, because 19 people had a desktop computer. The laptop one must have 17 in it, and the tablet one must have 16 in it. All the next ones are the crossovers, and if we get down to that bottom one, this is where we should start, where there's 5 students that have all 3. So we're going to start by putting the 5 students that have all 3 in the middle. It then says 7 students have both a laptop and a tablet. So we've got 5 students that have both with a desktop, but that must mean that there's 2 that just have both. The next one we can do is that 11 students have a desktop computer and a tablet. We already know that 5 of them have a desktop and a tablet. That means that there must be 6 left that have just a desktop and a tablet. The last one we can look at is that 11 students that 9 students have both a desktop and a laptop. So there are 5 students already that we know have a desktop and a laptop that have also a tablet. So there must be a remaining 4 students that have just the 2. We can only use the top 3 statements to work out the rest. So if you look at the desktop computer circle, we've got 4 add 5 is 9, add 6 is 15, which means there must be 4 left in there. If we look at the laptop circle, we've got 4 add 5 is 9, add 2 is 11, and there should be 17 in there, so that must be 6. And then in the tablet circle, we've got 6 and 5 add 2 is 13, and there should have been 16 in there, so that means there must be 3 left over. Now, there's a line here showing us that there must be some students that don't have any whatsoever. So if we add these numbers up, 4 add 4, add 6 add 5, add 6 add 2, add 3, that adds up to 30, and there were 32 students asked in the question. So that means there must be 2 students out here that don't have any of those. Part B, it says work out the probability that the student, one of the students with both a desktop computer and a laptop is chosen at random. Find out the probability that it has a tablet as well. So that means we must be looking at this section here, which is the section where they have a desktop and a laptop. To have a tablet as well, there are 5 of them that have a tablet as well as a desktop and a laptop, and there are 9 that have at least a desktop and a laptop. So 5 out of 9 is the answer. Question 13. The function f is defined as f of x equals x minus 6 over 2. Find f of 8. Well, all we do for this is just put 8 in as x, so 8 minus 6 is divided by 2. 8 minus 6 is 2, divided by 2 is just 1. Find f, the inverse function of f, so f minus 1 of x. My little trick for this is put y equals, and then the function that you originally had, so x minus 6 over 2. And then undo that to make x the subject of the formula. So that would be 2y equals x minus 6. So 2y plus 6 equals x. Now this bit here is the inverse function. So we're going to put x back in that because we talk about f of x. So that would be 2x plus 6 would be our inverse function for f of minus 1 of x. The function g is defined as g of x equals the square root of x minus 4. Express the function g of f in the form g of f of x equals whatever you're after. So all that means is you want to put the function f of x into g of x. So we know that x, the square root of x minus 4 is the function g of x. We want to drop x minus 6 over 2 into that in place of x. So, and then take 4 in the end. Obviously we want to put all that together. So if we want to put the minus 4 over divided by 2, if we change that to an 8, I can then put it as divided by 2 as well. And then that would give us the square root of x minus 14 over 2 as your final answer. Question 14. Triangle PQR is a cross-section of the prism. You've got all those measurements which are already on the diagram. Calculate the size of the angle that the line MR makes with the plane RQLN. So MR is this distance here. And we want the angle that it makes with the plane across the bottom. So we're after this angle here. To do that, we need this distance here and one of the other 2 distances as well. I'm going to choose to work out this distance here. So the first one I'm going to choose to work out is ML. So ML, we can see, is the height of this prism. So it must be the same as PQ, this one here. So ML must be equal to PQ. So if we work out PQ, we've got the same answer for that. So PQ, we can see that the hypotenuse of that triangle is 20, and we've got an angle of 30 in there, and this will be the opposite. So we're going to use sin. So we'll do sin 30 equals the opposite over 20. So to work out PQ, we will just do 20 times sin 30, which is 10. So we know that this must be 10, and therefore this must be 10 here as well. We've also got a right angled triangle here. So this is a right angled triangle. And we can then work out MR from that. So to work out MR is the hypotenuse, so MR squared would be equal to 20 squared plus 12 squared. So to work out MR, we'll do the square root of 20 squared plus 12 squared, which is 23.32, and so on. Leave that in your calculator because we can use that in a second. So we know that this here must be 23.32. Once we've got 2 sides of a right angle triangle, we can use trigonometry to work out the angle. So we've got the opposite, which is this one, and we've got the hypotenuse, which is this one. So again, we're going to use sin. So if we call the angle that we're after x, we will do sin x is equal to the opposite, which is 10 over 23.32. And if you've left that answer in your calculator, you can just put that in as answer. So x would be sin to the minus 1 of 10 over 23.32, which will give us 25.4 degrees to 1 decimal place that it's asked for. Question 15. A scientist is studying some rabbits. The rabbits have a disease that kills the rabbits. A population of 160 of these rabbits was reduced to 90 rabbits in just 2 days. The rabbit population is decreasing exponentially. That word there, exponentially, is really important. Work out how many of the 160 rabbits will be left after 7 days. Well, there were 160 to start with, and we would multiply that by something to find out how much they were after 1 day, and you would multiply that by that same thing again to find out what they'd be after 2 days. So to the power of 2, and that would give us an answer of 90. So we can rearrange this to find out our value for x. So we do x squared is equal to 90 over 160, just divided by 160. So x must be the square root of 90 over 160. To find out how many will be left after 7 days, we can just put that into our original formula. So 160 times the square root of 90 over 160 to the power of 7, which runs after 7 days. If you put that into your calculator, you'll get 21.3. So there'll be 21 rabbits left after 7 days. Question 16. Work out the area of the quadrilateral ABCD. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Well, first of all, triangle ACD. We can work out the area of that using the sine rule for the area. So, because we've got 2 sides in an angle. So to work out the area of that, we'll do a half times 11.8 times 7.4 times sin 132. And that would give us 32.445. The other triangle is a little bit more tricky because we need to work out that distance there first. So we've got the base of the triangle. It's a right angle triangle, so we'll just do base times height and half it, but we need that distance first. So if I call that A, to work out A, we've got a triangle ADC, we can use that again. We've got 2 sides in an angle, so we can use cosine rule in that bottom triangle. And cosine rule says that A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cos A. So 11.8 squared plus 7.4 squared minus 2 times 11.8 times 7.4 times cos 132. And that will give us an answer for A. If we square root that, we will get 17.63. So A would be 17.63. We can then put that into the top triangle, so triangle ABC will just be a half times the base, which is 17.63, times the height, which is 8.2, and that will give us 72.28. And if we add that to the area of the first one, then altogether we'll up to 3 significant figures. That will give us 105 centimetres squared. Question 17. Y equals AT squared minus 2AT and x equals 2A square root T. Express Y in terms of x and A. Well, this looks much more complicated than it actually is. All we need to do is rearrange this formula here to be T equals and then drop it into this formula so that we've got no T's in it. So the way we do that is T is being square rooted and then multiplied by 2A. So if we take the 2A over first and divide by 2A, and then the opposite of square rooting is squaring. So to work out, to rearrange that equation there, we'd have T equals x over 2A squared. We could also write that as x squared over 4A squared, squaring all parts of that fraction. If we drop that into the original equation, we've got y equals A, and then we want T squared. So T was x squared over 4A squared, and I want to square that again. I want to take away from that 2 lots of A multiplied by T, which we've just said is x squared over 4A squared. But we're not squaring that one. If we work that through, we have y equals A, x squared squared will be x to the power of 4, 4 squared would be 16, and A squared squared would be A to the power of 4. Take that away from 2A over x squared over 4A squared. We can now just do a little bit of simplifying, so that A would cancel one of those and that would become a 3. That A would cancel with one of those A's, and that 2 will cancel with that and it become a half. So altogether that would simplify to x over 4 and 16 3. Take away, and on this one we'd have x squared over 2A. Question 18. The histogram shows information about the lifetime of some electrical components. Work out the proportion, so we're looking for a fraction decimal percentage, of the components with a lifetime of between 1 and 6 years. So to work that out, we need to know the total lifespan of all of them. So to work out the total, the area of the first one is 2 wide and it is 0.12 tall. So up to there is 0.12 because it's going up in 0.02s. So that would be 0.12. We're going to add to that the area of, so that's this bar. We add to that the area of this bar, which would be 1 times 0.32 tall, plus 1 times 0.38 tall, plus 1 times 0.52 tall, plus 2 times 0.16 tall for the last bar. And altogether that gives us 1.78 if you put all that in your calculator. The ones that just last between 1 and 6 years, we only want from here to here. So for the first bar, we're going to do 1 times 0.32, sorry, 0.12, sorry, because that is just as high as the first bar is. We then want the second bar, which was 0.32 tall and 1 wide, so we'll add to that 1 times 0.32. The third bar was 0.38 tall, so 1 times 0.38. The fourth bar was 0.52 tall, so 1 times 0.52. And the last bar, we only want half that up to 6, so that would be again 1 wide times 0.16 tall. And if we add all that together, you get 1.50. So the proportion would be 1.5 divided by 1.78. If you put that in your calculator, you get 0.84 or 84%. Question 19. ABCD is a parallelogram. E is the midpoint of AB and F is the midpoint of DC. Prove that triangles AED is congruent to triangle CFB. Well, first of all, I'm going to say that AE is equal to FC. So AE is equal to FC. The reason for that is that AB equals DC, as it's a parallelogram, and E and F are midpoints, so they must be the same length. Next thing I'm going to say is that AD equals BC, again because opposite sides, opposites of a parallelogram are equal. I know it seems obvious, but you've got to write these reasons down. And then angle DAE is equal to angle BCF, again because opposite angles in a parallelogram are equal. Once you've got those three conditions, so you've got two sides the same and an angle between them, that means that it must be an SAS triangle, and therefore they are congruent. Part B says, hence prove that DE, so from D to E, is equal to F to B, so that one there to there. So it's really simple this, it says all we need to write is that DE is the corresponding side. Sorry, just make a bit of space in there, that's part 1. Is corresponding side to BF in triangle AED and triangle CFB. These triangles are congruent as proved in part A. Therefore, they must be equal. Now, it seems very obvious once you've written it out, but all you are saying with proofs is you know what sides are equal, and as soon as you know what sides are equal, what angles are equal, if you're just writing it down as common sense and proving that they are, then we could prove that they are SAS or SSS, etc. So you've just got to decide what it is you're going to prove in the first place, and then choose the information and just write down in a common sense way what those sides are and why they are equal.